Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Puput Puspaningrum with NIM 18602032310339. So I would like to present my work about final project for the course is research statistic. First case, correlation case. So the title is the relationship between student participants in the tier drop everything and read program and their reading comprehension level among lower secondary school students at MTSN 1 Blitar. So we can see from the title there are two variables. The first variable is independent variables, student participation in the tier program, and then the second variable is dependent variable, students reading comprehension level. Untuk research konteksnya, so this study is conducted at MTSN 1 Blitar, a lower secondary school that implements a school literacy activity known as the DEAR, Drop Everything and Read program. The program requires students to stop all activities and read selected text for a fixed period of time each school day. Despite the implementation of the program, variation in student reading comprehension level are still observed. So therefore, it is necessary to investigate whether students' level of participation in the DEAR program is related to their reading comprehension achievement. So the research problem of this study is whether students who participate more actively in the DEAR program tend to have higher reading comprehension levels than those who participate less actively. Then next, scale of measurement. So in this study, both variables were treated as interval data because they produce numerical scores with equal and meaningful intervals. Student participation in the DEAR program was measured using a Likert scale questionnaire, and the total scores from multiple items were treated as interval data to allow parametric statistical analysis, which is a common practice in educational research. Similarly, students' reading comprehension was measured using test scores that naturally represent interval data. Therefore, the use of the interval scale was considered appropriate and justified for analyzing the relationship between the two variables using Pearson correlation. And next, statistical analysis use. So the type of statistical analysis used in this study is the Pearson product moment correlation. Next, hypothetical data. The hypothetical data presented in this case consists of 10 students selected to illustrate the statistical analysis procedure. In an actual study conducted at MTSN 1 Blitar, a larger sample will be required, but below is hypothetical data created solely for academic purposes. So 10 students as an example. And next, step-by-step data analysis by using SPSS. So the first step, it should be stating the hypothesis, but I would like to explain about the normality testing. From this result, it showed that the both variables are normally distributed. For student participation in the DEAR program, the Shapiro wheel test produced a significance value of 0.528, which is greater than 0.05. Similarly, the student reading comprehension variable obtained a Shapiro wheel significance value of 0.519, also exceeding 0.05. The next, developing research hypothesis. The null hypothesis: there is no significant relationship between student participants in the DEAR program and their reading comprehension level. So there is no relationship. And the alternative hypothesis: there is a significant relationship between student participation in the DEAR program and their reading comprehension level. So there is a relationship. Next, we could do the imputing the data into SPSS. First, open the variable view and type DEAR and comprehension in the name column. Type student DEAR and student comprehension in the label column. So move the to data view and input the data, click analyze, correlated and bivariate, and then move the DEAR and comprehension to the right box. After that, tick Pearson and OK. And so this is the result. The Pearson correlation analysis revealed a correlation coefficient of R 0.994 between student participation in the DEAR program and their reading comprehension level. This value indicates a very strong positive relationship, meaning that students who show higher participation in the DEAR program tended to achieve higher reading comprehension scores. The significant value less than 0.009 confirms that the relationship is statistically significant at the 0.09 level, with a total of 10 participants involved in the analysis. So since the significant value is less than 0.009, which is lower than 0.05, the null hypothesis is rejected. We go to the conclusion. The findings indicate a very strong and significant relationship between students' participation in the tier program and their reading comprehension level. However, the strength of the correlation should be interpreted with caution due to the small sample size and the close conceptual relationship between the variables. Next, we go to the second case experimental study. The title is The Effect of Contextual Casing Strategy on Students' Vocabulary Acquisition. So we can see from the title, there are two variable. The first variable, independent variable, contextual casing strategy, teaching strategy. And then the second variable, dependent variable, is students' vocabulary acquisition, measured through vocabulary test scores. And then the research context, vocabulary acquisition is essential for lower secondary school students, yet many still struggle to understand a familiar word due to reliance on traditional methods such as translation and memorization. The contextual casting strategy encourages students to infer word meanings using contextual clues, which means super deeper and more independent vocabulary learning. Therefore, this experimental study aims to examine whether the contextual casting strategy leads to better vocabulary acquisition than conventional instruction. This study employed a true experimental post-test only control group design in which students were randomly assigned to experimental and control groups, and only post-test scores were used to measure the effect of the treatment. So the problem of this study is formulated: does the use of the contextual casting strategy have a significant effect on students' vocabulary acquisition compared to conventional vocabulary instruction? And then the next, we go to the scale of measurement. Contextual casting strategy is measured on a nominal scale because it classifies students into two categories, namely the experimental and control groups, without indicating any order or numerical distance. Vocabulary acquisition is measured on an interval scale because it is represented by numerical test score with equal intervals between values, allowing for the use of parametric statistical analysis. Next, we go to the statistical analysis use. So in this study, the type of statistical analysis is independent sample t-test. Next, this is the hypothetical data. So the hypothesis testing in this study was conducted using post-test scores only. Next, we go to the step-by-step data analysis by using SPSS. First step, it should be stating the hypothesis, but I would like to explain the testing normality data. So this is the result of test of normality. Based on the Shapiro wheel test, the experimental group obtained a significance value of 0.545 with GF12. Since the significant value is greater than 0.05, the data are normally distributed. Next, state the hypothesis. There is no significant difference in vocabulary acquisition between students taught using the contextual casting strategy and those taught using conventional vocabulary instruction. And then the alternative, there is a significant difference in vocabulary acquisition between students taught using the contextual casting strategy and those taught using conventional vocabulary instruction. Next, we go to the inputting data into SPSS. So first type, open the variable view, type scores in name and student score in label, type group in name, and identify the control and experiment in value, evaluate the data knowledge, and then we click analyze, compare means, and then independent sample test. After that, move the variable student score to test variable, and then move group to grouping variables. After that, click define group, and then type 1 in group 1, type group in group 2, and then click continue, and then okay. So we have the SPSS output as followed. This. So this is the result of conducted independent sample test. So based on Levin's test or equality of variances, the significant value is 0.400, which is greater than 0.05. This indicates that the variances between the experimental and control group are homogeneous. So the row equal variance assumed is used for interpretation. So the t-test for equality of means show of t-value of 7.646 with df22 and a sig-to-tail value of less than 0.009. Since the significant value is less than 0.05, there is a statistically significant difference between the experimental and control groups. That the students in the experimental group achieve significantly higher vocabulary scores than those in the control group. So since the p-value is less than 0.05, so the null hypothesis is rejected. So the conclusion is the result indicate that the contextual casting strategy has a significant effects on students' vocabulary acquisition. Therefore, the null hypothesis is rejected and the alternative hypothesis is accepted. So that's all from me. Thank you for watching, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.